Hello to all my dear friends. Welcome to the newest session of the Society Simulation Package in Architecture. I'm Behrouz, and I'm very happy to be with you, dear friends, in this session, the 10th session. In previous sessions, we got acquainted with practical tools as much as possible. Now, for a few sessions, I will try to present those main tools to you in the form of very simple examples so that we can gradually move on to our project. Well, I'm going to 3D Max, and the scene you see is one of the recent scenes from our own projects, and we used practical and special materials that the client ordered, and now I've opened this scene, and I want to explain the rest of the story to you in this scene, okay? The new tool that we are learning today is the spacing tool. Kids, we have many tools for replicating our subjects in the Max environment, but now the most practical one, which I use the most, is the wonderful Space Tools tool. To use this tool, the first thing we need is to consider a path. I isolate these two by Alt+Q. I activate my line on corner and my snap to, and I check that it is definitely on vertex. And now a line is drawn here in this way, okay? I exit the isolated state. Now we can replicate any object we want in this path with a specific number. Now, for example, I select one of these trees, and this one, for example, I isolate everything. Well, I'll take a copy of this for now, so it doesn't move around in the thing. I turn off my snap, scale it down a little, kind of like a box would. Okay, kids? Now I have one object and one path, like this. I want to distribute this object exactly along this path. Now our path doesn't necessarily have to be a straight line, kids. We usually use this spacing tool method in spiral modes, where replicating these subjects is a little difficult, for example. I'm giving my example on this simple line. Okay? I select my object. I go to the Tools path, the Tools tab, and activate the Align Spacing Tools from this section. Well, before I activate it, I hold it on it, and as you can see, there's a little help here, and it tells us that we can replicate it in such paths in an orderly manner with specific settings. Okay? Now I click on Spacing Tools. A page opens for me in this way. And now, from this page, I can select the number of objects that will be replicated, and even introduce the path that is needed here. Well, we have two options here. One is pick path, and the other is pick point. If you have special points, you can put points here in the help section. For example, we say 3 from this point, here point, as many points as you like, and as soon as you select it, your object will be replicated exactly in those path points and peaks points. But I'm working with the path here. Here we have an option called Pick Path. It says introduce your path to me. As soon as I select this path, you notice that this object is also replicated here. And now I have to control the number of... You can use as many as you like here. Now, we have other options too, kids. I don't use these options much myself. Now nothing special happens. Now, for special things, for example, you say we have several patterns here. Now, the pattern that we are working on is the same pattern that it suggests itself. You can change these and see that each one can be useful somewhere. But now, I personally use this main option that it has, which is standard and beautiful. I use this option, and it is replicated here as much as you give it. Now, you can also choose the type here, whether it is a copy, instance, or reference, which I put on instance. And here, kids, we have another option that I use a lot. Here, as you can see, our replication is done. But sometimes, kids, now let me delete this. For example, I cancel it, I draw a teapot, a small teapot in this way. Even smaller. Okay. I come and activate Spacing Tools again. I click on Pick Path and select this. And now, as you can see, it is replicated again. As soon as I click on the Follow option, the type of arrangement of these is exactly defined in this path. It sees that now the tips of these knobs are no longer each in one direction, and it is all following this line approximately. Now, this was also an attractive option that I wanted to tell you. Now, the more advanced version of the spacing tool is the tank script tank tracker state, I think, where we have these options. But we also have 2 or 3 wonderful options. Example, we can make these next to each other in a graded state. Or, now the replication has a few other options after replication for this JP. In Skip Tank Tracker, you can install that. Now I'll try to introduce it to you in the third season of this package, which is dedicated to scripts and practical plugins. So with this method, kids, we can easily do all our replications in specific paths. Now I want to select these. We have an interesting option called Select Similar. That is, when you know that you have copied a specific object in large numbers, you no longer have to select one gene. Select Similar Delete. Well, I'll delete this again. I exit the isolated state twice. Now I isolate one of these. Let's draw a curved path. For example, I come and draw a helix in this way. I draw another teapot. Kids, these are teapots, because you understand the rotational state. That's why I give an example. You can use streetlights, leaves, I don't know, all kinds of flowers and plants, trees, anything that needs to be replicated in this way. For example, the lights in our scene. You can all replicate in this way. I select one of these. Tools, Spacing Ins. And I come here, click on Pick Pass, and you see how easy it is. Just shake it here. These are the fruits of the cleanse. Increase one of these, tap to fix it. I reduce a large number here. If I remove the follow option here, you see that it is no longer in that path. So here, follow can help us a lot to start moving in that direction in an orderly and precise manner. Okay? I'll delete it. We go to get acquainted with one or two more practical tools, because once the tools are finished, we'll go to the project in general, and in that project we'll review everything we've said again. So that's why I'm not stretching it out too much. From the Create section, the Geometry section, I put my tab on AEC Extended. Kids, we have three options here. Now foliage that doesn't work for me. Why? Because it comes here, for example, it considers trees or ready-made foliage for the moon, but their quality, kids, is very low. Usually it ruins your work in my opinion. It gives a cartoonish state to our work. You see, these are Max's own things, so I don't emphasize them much because we have ready-made models of much higher quality, and we don't need to depend on these. Well, I draw a helix here again in this way, and I come from here. We have an option called Railing. I think I said this once in the second session. I'll say it here once again now. Kids, we can use Max's ready-made presets to build railings. The way it works is also very easy. You activate railing, the path where you want the railing to be formed. See, Pick Railing Path selects and selects this path. Well, the railing was built here, kids, but now because it suffers from a lack of segments, see, it can't fit here. As soon as I increase the segments or click on this option, Noves Segmenta is closed. But when I click on this option, I say, Dad, go completely in this path. You see how professionally it came and built my own railing. Now we also have other options here for building railings. In my opinion, it's not bad for urgent things. Now the new versions are gradually making their own update progress. In the new versions, it comes and adds newer and more useful options. So by working with these options, I can make my railing okay here in this way. This is not needed. And here you yourself have to sit down and play with these options to see which railing is the one you want. Now this can also be in a rounded state, even the individual railings. I don't know. You see, for example, I click on this rat salit fill, and here these options open. I think these are railings that have glass around them. Now I don't want this. This I think is better in my opinion. So this is also from the method of building railings. You draw any path you like with a line and come and define it in that path. It comes from the railing section. We also said inside the projects we use these. Well kids, here we also have a very interesting and practical option. I'm going to the top view, I click on F and draw a simple plane. Suppose this is our architectural plan. You imported it from AutoCAD or even draw it inside Max, and now you want to give it height. Well, one of our simple and easy methods, we thought we said 3 techniques there in the previous sessions. One was the ordinary extrude, one was with the help of Edit Poly and Insert X Zeroed. Negative, one was with the help of outline and etc. Now I want to learn a new topic here. Here, kids, in this option, AC Extended, we have an option called Wall, ready-made walls that you can specify the size of your wall in advance. For example, a wall 1.5 meters in, for example, 20 centimeters. Well, try here to wait and take the development and B. Well, so here I can specify the length, width, height, and width of my ready-made walls here. And the starting point is from the left, center, right. I put it in the left state, and see, I start to fear. Here the height needs to be increased, so I increase it more. You see, because we didn't work with numbers, kids, you see this wall that I put 4 meters now, but it looks small. Why here? For example, the plan that we drew is no longer realistic in size. So I'm going to make this a little smaller so that we don't have such a large volume, okay? I still increase the height, which gives a small thickness, and now I can easily draw my own walls in a few seconds with the help of snap and the wall option. Now maybe you say, why do you do this? What's wrong with that extrude? Well, kids, sometimes we need to learn more options. And that, for example, we're not always going to work from something ready-made. Sometimes you in your mind want to reach the plan in the same way by drawing walls. This can also be a method. Now you say, for example, if there was no plan, what should I do? Well, go to the top view in the same way as if you're drawing the same plan, only from the kid's state. Mr. Straight is applicable here. I think Kima's state won't work for us anymore, okay? In this way, you see how easily I was able to draw these. Now of course you know that it is editable and manipulable after drawing. I can convert this to Cavert Bell Polish. I don't care about mesh now. For example, you say that the upper vertexes, I want my wall to come higher. Select the vertexes, pull it with Hassan off. Only the upper points must be selected. I adjusted my height. Now it says that the thickness is low. Well, we could have fixed these at the time of drawing. But we learned that after editing, after drawing, we can easily edit these in this way. It became great. You know, from the rail and wall option. Well, let's go to another topic. Well, kids, I'll select this model. It's a ready-made model. I think, yes, it's a group. The first thing I do, kids, I want to take a cut, a section of this, because kids usually do these things in Revit. But we also have special options in Max that are much easier than even Revit. Well, what should we do to take a cut of this? We learned one cut, that this is section, I think it was the previous session. You learned that we can take an accurate cut of this with the help of action. I want to teach you another method here, which is also updated live there. Its difference with action light is the same. Well, the first thing I do, I click on thing, I click on attach, I click on attach multi, and attach all its pieces to each other. Kids, I say that group with attach is very different. The difference is that in group you can only choose group to make your collection easier. Otherwise, in these kinds of things, group is of no use to us. Put this to see, for example, I group it. I no longer have access to its pieces. Now see, for example, the group, this now, well, when it's a group, I can neither give it an edit poly, nor work on it properly. So group is different from attach. You only use group when you want your selection to be easy. Group is also easy. Now you group once by clicking on group. You exit the group by clicking on ungroup. Or you can even ungroup in several stages. Now this sees that each piece has become a thing. I select everything. I can click on group and do my work in this way. Well, let's go to our own work. I said this. Now as soon as I attach it, I assign modifier slice to it. Modifier lice came. I go to easem. We know these modes. I said it in the relevant session. I also turn on the degree snap. I click on 45 degrees and rotate it 2 stages. Kids, it became heavy. It's natural. Your shape is completely a heavy shape from the ready-made models of the company, or motion. I think it's the 203rd series, or 215. Now it delays in rotating, so I can use numbers here. I select this, make it X in my axis. I say, Dad, rotate this 90 degrees, okay? And now it is exactly in the center of that. This, I click on F to see what we have inside. Where can we take a section from? So I'll bring this a little further. I'll put it here. It's almost good. And now we go to the attractive options. Slice 1 option. We said rhythm B. Now it only throws things. Throws a line. I'll put the segment on so you can see the segments. I'll put it on this riff bestie state, or remo negative. You see, with this ease, I've now been able to take a live action from inside this. You can even pull it back further exactly where you like to put it, and take an architectural action from it, because you have to do this now inside AutoCAD. You definitely have to take a cut and thing these from the beginning. It has its own difficulties, but now with this slice technique, you see, I was able to easily take an action from this. You can now put it in your Praza hats. For example, our model is finished. You took a render. For example, some clients want actions, because now I myself am not very okay with AutoCAD. And these stories, I have problems, and I try to do all my work inside this. So in this way we can take action from it. Well, now for example, I can rotate my action. You see, in this way, and from this part, even the outside space. And now it's heavy. Kids, your model that you make no longer has the objects inside the thing, and it is definitely lighter. And this work is not done with such a delay. You are currently working with these two options. I say those other options in their place where they should be used. Okay? I'll delete it. Let's go to a few more interesting options, called Rest XOR. I wanted to tell you here. Let me see if I can find an example. In Rest XOR, kids, I worked on a scene here. Now you see, I didn't work everywhere. I only worked on the places that are affected by my camera display. Only see here now, the scene looks very crowded, but when you come out, you see it's not that crowded. So kids, it's not supposed to be that you want to. For example, a project takes serial. You come and work everywhere, so that they say, this is professional. I don't think there is any reason or logical reason for you to come and work everywhere, because now neither everyone has a good system nor enough time for these things. The same that you take your own render and present what the client wants. In my opinion, then don't blame yourself in vain. That, for example, my scene is not like anything. When I come out of the camera, it is the art of the three artists to always come. I say exactly that the path that the camera has put. Work there. So don't tire yourself out in vain. Well, I wanted to say spacey Hallet X form. Kids, Hallet XOR somehow changes the nature of our shape. For example, now I hope this example can work here, because this problem sometimes happens. We don't always have this problem. Now this cover is in Edit Poly. I come, for example, this around myself, for example. I don't want anything else. I'll put everything except these. For example, yes, I'll select these. I'll click on Create Shape Selection. Create Shape Selection in Winair state. I'll click on OK. Well, now this two-dimensional line that we have here. Now if I give this an extrude, it is likely that no, it is okay now. Good. See, sometimes kids, this problem happens here. Now I recorded the problem once at the same moment and presented it to you. I think it is also in the free training. Sometimes you have faced this problem that, for example, the exedi that you give, it doesn't go forward in the specific direction that you like, that normal and normal direction. You see, for example, it's extrude positive, goes backwards. The state is wrong and pure happens. In such times with such problems, if it has happened to you, the work that you do is that see, first this, for example, suppose now I don't care about this. I delete it, because this didn't give us a problem for me to give an example. Bring it here. For example, consider this in this way. For example, you detached from a place or clicked on the left key, especially in that method that you come and draw a line out from, inside a three-dimensional model. In those times we exactly face this problem, 90%. Well, XS doesn't work correctly for 3 years. Well, here I gave extrude. You see that it is okay. But now if that problem arises, the work that you do is that the first thing you do, say Dad, the anti is upwards, Axenhedem is inverted. Well, and the second stage you come from this section, utility section, here you click on the Risk Dix form option, and click on the Risk Circuit. And here an XOR was added as a metaphor, and definitely after this work, I'll let it play, the extrude that I assigned to it. This already knew its directions and no bug happened. Even if it had a scale, I don't know. Let me see scale. I think yes, you reached it. I'll be here I scale. As soon as I click on RestX form, it should be okay that it hasn't been. So with this method we can also adjust our own XOR. Well, let's go to work with our layers. Kids, layers can help us tremendously in the 3 Studio Max environment. Well, kids, Working with layers inside Max is very easy. Now, I could have said it in the first session, but now we kept it to open a scene that has special objects, so that we can explain the layers. Well, the application of layers in Max is in this way that, for example, in your scene, you have a main building. You can layer that separately, the buildings around you in one layer. For example, your Lenski, the streets you built, the sidewalks you built in one layer, and the trees and everything else in the scene, you can layer them separately. Well, now maybe you say, that layering, what does it do for me? Kids, in managing our work, nothing can help us in lightening the work like layers. Well, I'm going to do a few layerings here so that you can understand the effect. Well, kids, the buildings around us, for example, these were all grouped. I don't know what I did. These came out of the club. I mean, I never leave these like this, because you see it becomes difficult to select it later. So if you import an object, please group and/or group, and attach these definitely. Well, I come here to the layers we go. The layer is not seen here. The reason is that it is inactive. I right-click in this empty section and click on the layers option. As soon as I activate it, a toolbar is added in this way. It doesn't have any special options. We only have 2 or 3 simple and practical options here. Only this max 20-second. I didn't pay attention to close its thing. Autos becomes, it causes problems. Okay, this layer that I added here. I come to the layers section, and you see that here, kids, there are all kinds of layers. We can actually make our own layers. These layers now have given themselves names. And of course, I think I wrote these before. Yes, see, trees, for example, a layer, I don't know, sidewalk and street, one layer, building, one layer, and you can even add a new layer yourself. In what way? See here, I add a new layer. Create, near, if you click on this, it goes inside the same layer. Well, here, I click, I say, for example, dad, letting. The building is layered here, and now whatever I select, this layer is now active. And if you click on this option, it goes exactly inside that layer. Let me see first. I'll go to the straighten payment state. Select our own sidewalks, all of them, even these tables. I'll select them. Okay. Now I've selected all these. I click on this option, at selection to year. And now, well, now you say what's the application? I can easily hide these here. That's what it does. You don't crowd the scene in vain. You do your arrangement. You go and, for example, the third layer should be off for now. So this turning off, see how much it can help in lightening the scene. I now select the trees. I select every tree that is in my scene. I click on it to go to the layer, try as to YIF. After now the T's are thing. Zola makes, and with this ease, kids, you know how easily we were able to easily manage our own scene. Well, I also select these. I check that nothing is left in vain here. I say that go to the, for example, the architecture of proton calls of the building layer, and now either freeze show or hide show. You can also freeze now. If you freeze it, it cannot be selected. Well, this also goes to the buildings around us. This main building of ours, select go to the main building layer that I drew. Where is this? It's here. I'll put this to go here. This should stay for now. The trees that are left over. Take everything to the layer tree to car. Again, something only kids when this happens. You cannot add hands to it. And you see now I can even put the glasses. I have grouped these so that you see I am comfortable, because this number of glasses, these are very many. Don't click on these. You will definitely face severe difficulties. I definitely select everything, and I say that these should also go to the layer floor over. I think, see, go to be isolated for now. It's finished, it's gone, and now I can go, for example, to my camera. I go to the layers one by one. I come and add these, for example. I say that the extra trees are added. The street and sidewalk are added. The surrounding buildings are added. After the flowers are also added. So with this ease, we can use the wonderful technique of layers. So definitely write down, kids. One of the other amazing and wonderful methods to control our scene, manage our scene, is the use of layers. Only kids now, my personal opinion is that please do this while drawing. Because layering, and now when you draw 5 layers, select it. Every group of yours, now you know that, for example, your lenses are made up of several parts. Layer those. Every time your work is finished, you bring a new object, put its layers exactly in its specific place so that you can easily manage your scene. Well, we got acquainted with a few more, I think, in the next few sessions. I'll tell you about these practical tools, we'll go to the project and the rest of the story, and we'll do our modeling in the heart of the project until our first season is finished, and then we'll go to our second season, which is getting acquainted with the stages of rendering. I'm also a render, my favorite render engine. No, I'm a Crota render engine. Now I don't have any special prejudice for it, because I've worked on 5 years but now I've come to the conclusion that Crota is very easy, more economical, and more natural and real than Beal for my work. Okay kids, we're coming to the end of our session. I hope this session was useful for you. Until the next sessions, God keep you.